Ingrid crossed her arms, still suspicious. What aren't you telling me? Jack smiled slightly. Smart. And careful. That's good. He took a deep breath. Okay, I'll tell you the truth. He leaned forward slightly. The Double T is a real ranch. It's not a luxury place, he continued. The winter is very cold. The summer is hot. Hot. And the nearest town is a bit far away. He looked directly at her. And there's one more thing. You'd probably be the only woman there most of the time. He explained. There's only Martha, the cook, who helps out. Ingrid was silent for a moment. It can be lonely, he added. She lowered her gaze slightly and replied, almost in a whisper. I've felt alone before, even in the middle of a lot of people. She took a deep breath. At least, there it would be true solitude. Jag nodded, understanding. There's one more thing you need to know. He became a little more serious. I'm not just the owner of the ranch. My family has money, plenty of it, he continued. My father made a fortune in business, and I've also invested in other things besides the ranch. He looked sincerely. Some people might say things. They might say you're only interested in the money. Ingrid raised her chin firmly. Let them talk. She replied without hesitation. I know who I am, and I know what I want. Jack watched her for a moment, and then smiled slightly. I believe you. He spoke calmly. I just wanted you to know everything. They were silent for a few seconds. A peaceful silence. Outside, snow covered the city, and everything seemed calmer. But, deep down, Ingrid knew an important decision was coming. They both looked out the window for a few moments. Snow covered everything outside, until Ingrid broke the silence. When do you want me to start? Jack's face lit up instantly. Does that mean you accept? Ingrid replied calmly. It means I'll try. She was sincere. If it doesn't work out, we each go our own way. No problem. Jack nodded, satisfied. Fair enough. He stood up and extended his hand. Welcome to Double T, Nurse Ingrid. When she shook his hand, she felt something strange, like a small shock. A different sensation from his look. It seemed he had felt it too. Ingrid realized something at that moment. That job might be more complicated than it seemed. But even so, for the first time in a long time, she felt excited about the future. The trip to the ranch took a few hours. Everything around was covered in snow. It was beautiful and silent at the same time. Before leaving town, Jack insisted on buying her a few things. A very warm coat, proper riding boots, and other important items. Ingrid tried to refuse, but he wouldn't accept. Consider this in advance on your salary, he said with a smile. Now, riding beside him, Ingrid felt something new. Freedom. The place was open, wide, very different from anything she had known before. Snow-covered mountains in the distance, a huge sky above them. Everything seemed bigger, more alive. Along the way, Jack pointed out some important landmarks. That's where we water the horses, he said, pointing to a stream. That group of trees provides shelter in the summer. And after some more time, they reached the top of a hill. Jack stopped his horse and pointed ahead. Look. It's there. Treeless. It was the beginning of a new life. When they reached the top of the hill, Ingrid was speechless. Down below, the ranch spread across the valley like a small town. The main house was large and well built, made of wood and stone, with a huge veranda in front. Near it, there were several other places. Houses for the workers, stables, corrals, a blacksmith shop. Smoke rose from several chimneys. Even in the cold, You could see men working everywhere. Ingrid looked at it all with shining eyes. "It's beautiful," she said. "Truly." Jack smiled. "Wait until spring." He pointed toward the valley. "When everything turns green and the flowers start to bloom." He looked at her. "You won't see a more beautiful place than this." They began to descend toward the ranch. As they approached, some men began to emerge from the buildings. Others stopped what they were doing. Everyone was watching, curious. The news that Jack had gone to town had already spread, and now everyone wanted to know who the woman with him was. When they reached the courtyard, Jack dismounted his horse. "Guys," he called. The men approached. "I want you to meet Ingrid Solberg." He spoke firmly. "She's the ranch's new nurse." For a second, there was silence. And then, the men began to celebrate. Some smiled, others clapped. Ingrid was surprised, and even a little embarrassed. Her cheeks flushed slightly. An older man with a grey mustache stepped forward. "My name is Tom Bradley," he said. "I'm in charge of organizing the work here." He smiled respectfully. "You can't imagine how happy we are to have someone like you here." He looked at Jack and added, "Thank you for that. You can call me Bradley," the man said with a smile. Jack helped Ingrid down from her horse. "I hope I can help you," she said, still a little shy. Another man approached, raising his bandaged hand. "Oh, you will help," he said. "I cut myself yesterday, and this won't stop hurting." Ingrid looked at him attentively. "I'll take a look as soon as I get organized," she promised. Jack then motioned for her to follow him. They walked a little way until they reached a small cabin. It was a few meters from the main house. "This one's yours," he said, opening the door. Ingrid went inside and looked around. The cabin was simple, but very cozy. There was a room that also served as a workspace, a small bedroom, and a kitchen with a wood-burning stove. The fire was already lit. The atmosphere was warm, comfortable, welcoming. "Combi, Martha left food ready for you, and I asked the staff to bring furniture and bedding." He looked at her. "If you need anything, just say so." Ingrid began to walk through the cabin. She ran her hand over the wooden furniture, looked out the windows. On one side, she could see the snow-covered mountains. On the other, the main house and the activity of the ranch. She took a deep breath. It was perfect. But then Jack spoke again. "There's one more thing." He led her to a door she hadn't even noticed. "I think you'll like this." He opened it. When Ingrid saw it, she was surprised. It was a complete doctor's office. It had a table for attending to patients, cabinets full of materials, instruments, medicines, everything organized, everything clean, everything ready for use. Ingrid looked around in disbelief. It was better equipped than many places where she had worked. At that moment, she realized that this wasn't just a job. It was a new opportunity. "Jack," Ingrid said very softly, moved. "This must have cost a lot." He shrugged, as if it were nothing special. "A good nurse is worth a lot," he replied simply. "And to tell you the truth, I've been preparing this for months." He looked around the office. "I was just waiting to find someone who could use all this." Ingrid's eyes filled with tears. After everything she'd been through, so much rejection, so much hardship, receiving that help seemed almost unbelievable. "Thank you," she said, almost whispering. Jack smiled slightly. "Calm down. Don't thank me yet," he joked. "Wait until you get to know these men better. You'll still have a lot of work to do too. Deserve that salary." As if it were a plan. Knock, knock. Someone knocked on the door. It opened immediately. It was Tom Bradley, helping a young man inside. The young man could barely stand. "Sorry to arrive like this, miss," said Tom. "But Bill here just got hurt by a horse." The young man grimaced in pain. And at that moment, Ingrid realized. The work had already begun. "Take him to the doctor's office," said Ingrid, completely changing her posture. Now she was focused, confident. "Let's take off this boot and see what happened." Carefully, she began to examine the young man's foot. It was bruised, quite purple, but luckily, it didn't seem broken. While she worked, Ingrid felt someone watching. It was Jack, standing in the doorway. When she finished bandaging his foot and explaining what the young man needed to do, Say looked up and found Jack smiling. "What is it?" she asked. "Nothing," he replied. "I'm just thinking." He crossed his arms. "This could be even better than I imagined." That same night, after tending to a few more people with minor injuries and getting to know the men on the ranch better, Ingrid finally sat down in her cabin, trying to understand everything that had happened. 2 days before, she was alone, cold, penniless, at a train station. Now, she had a job, a house, and the respect of the people around her. She kept thinking about him. He was different, very different from the men she had known before. He wasn't weak, nor arrogant. He didn't try to take advantage of anyone. He was strong, but kind. He had money, but he didn't think he was better than others. And he treated her as an equal. But at the same time, he took care of her. Knock. Knock. A light knock on the door interrupted her thoughts. Ingrid got up and opened it. Jack was there, holding a hot, steaming mug. "I thought you'd like this before bed," he said. "Hot chocolate. Martha makes the best here." Ingrid smiled. "Thank you. That's very kind." She took the mug. The warmth was comforting. Then she asked, "Would you like to come in for a bit?" Jack hesitated. "I don't want to cause you any trouble." Ingrid gave a slight smile. "I think I'll survive a conversation with my boss," she joked. "And besides, who's going to complain?" Jack ended up going inside. He sat down near the fireplace, and Ingrid settled into the chair opposite. The fire crackled gently, and at that moment, everything seemed peaceful. The hot chocolate was delicious. Hot, creamy, and very comforting. Ingrid held the cup with both hands, savoring each sip. Jack looked at her and asked, "So, how are you adapting?" She smiled slightly. "Better than I imagined," she answered honestly. "The men have been respectful. The cabin is perfect. And that office," she shook her head, impressed. "It's much better equipped than some places I've worked." "That's good," Jack said. After that, he fell silent, just staring at the fire in the fireplace. Ingrid immediately noticed something was different. "What is it?" she asked. Jack took a moment to answer. Then he spoke calmly. "I want to be honest with you about something." Ingrid put her cup down on the table. Now she was more attentive. "What do you mean?" He took a deep breath. "When I met you at this station, it wasn't entirely by chance." Ingrid became serious. "How so?" "I really went to town to take care of things, but I was also looking for someone," he continued. "I wanted to find a nurse or a doctor for the ranch." He looked at her. At the hotel, someone mentioned that a woman with medical knowledge had inquired about work that day. Ingrid listened attentively to every word. "So I went to the station, hoping to find that person." She frowned slightly. "So, you already knew who I was?" Jack shook his head. "I only knew that a nurse might be arriving on the train that night." He spoke sincerely. "I didn't know your name or what you had been through until I saw you there." Ingrid was silent for a few seconds, thinking about all of that. Ingrid thought for a moment and then asked, "Why didn't you tell me this before?" Jack calmly replied, "Because I wanted you to accept the job for who you are, not because you felt indebted to me." That made sense. And at that moment, Ingrid admired him even more. She looked at him and asked, "Is there anything else I should know?" Jack looked directly into her eyes, without looking away. There's something. He took a deep breath. I feel something for you, Ingrid. From the moment I saw you at that station. Her heart raced, but he continued firmly. But I want to make something very clear. He took a slight step back. Your job here doesn't depend on that. I'm not going to pressure you or mix things up. You're here because of your skills. That's all. Ingrid was silent for a moment. But deep down, she also felt something, and she knew it. Then she replied, with a slight smile, Thank you for being honest. She took a deep breath and added, And just so you know, this isn't just one-sided. They looked at each other. The fire in the fireplace illuminated the room. And at that moment, they knew something important was beginning. But they also knew that it needed to happen calmly. Jack stood up. I think you should rest, he said. Tomorrow will be a busy day. He smiled slightly. Martha wants to show you everything around here. He walked to the door, but before he left, Ingrid called. Jack. He stopped. Thank you for everything. She spoke sincerely. It's been a long time since I felt like this. Hopeful. Jack was silent for a second, and then he answered in a low voice, Neither have I. And then Jack left. He left Ingrid alone, sitting near the fireplace. With the warmth of the fire and with many thoughts in her head. But for the first time in a long time, those thoughts were good. They brought hope. The days passed, and spring arrived earlier that year. Over time, Ingrid adapted to her new life on the Double T Ranch. She did everything. She cared for injured men, treated cuts, falls, bites. She helped when an animal needed it, and even lent a hand in the garden when work was quieter. Little by little, everyone began to trust her. The men on the ranch not only respected Ingrid, but also asked her for advice. Sometimes it wasn't even about health, and she always helped as much as she could. But amidst all of this, there was something that occupied her mind more than anything else. Jack, during the day, he kept a certain distance, always respectful, always professional. But at night, everything changed. The conversations on the porch of Ingrid's cabin became routine, and she grew to really enjoy those moments. They talked about everything, about the ranch, about his dreams, about her past, and about the future. It was easy to talk to him. Notcher, light. One night, at the end of April, the two were sitting, watching the sunset. The sky was full of colors, gold, purple, yellow. It was beautiful. But this time, Jack seemed different, more serious, more thoughtful. He was silent for a moment, and then he said, Ingrid, I need to tell you something about my past. Ingrid put her cup down and looked at him attentively. What is it? Jack took a deep breath before answering. I've never been married. Ingrid felt something strange in her chest, a slight discomfort, but she quickly dismissed the thought. It was natural. A man like him, not having married yet? She asked carefully. What happened? Jack looked at the ground for a moment and said, No woman I've ever known liked the countryside. I thought I'd never be happy. Ingrid moved a little closer. Carefully, she took his hand. I'm sorry. Then he looked at Ingrid and added, But you're quite different. He gave a slight smile. You're strong. You love the countryside. You face things head on. He looked her in the eyes, and I admire that very much. Ingrid's heart raced. Jack spoke quickly, as if he needed to say everything at once. I know it's early. I know we work together, and that complicates everything. He took a step closer, but I can't pretend anymore that this is just professional respect. Ingrid took a deep breath. Me neither. Here. But you're right, it's complicated. She looked outside for a moment. What will people think? And the men on the ranch? Jack answered immediately. I don't care what they'll say, he spoke firmly. I care about you. What do you want? Ingrid was about to reply. But suddenly, someone came running. It was Tom Bradley. His face was pale. Chief, Ingrid, he called, breathless. There's been an accident. A lightning bolt startled the horses, said Tom, out of breath. And Danny was knocked down. He's badly hurt. At that moment, Ingrid stood up. She let go of everything she was feeling. Now, she was a nurse. Where is he? In the barracks, Tom replied. They took him there. Ingrid didn't waste any time. She ran to the office, grabbed everything she needed, while Jack was already preparing to seek help in the city. But when Ingrid arrived at the barracks and saw the young man's, she understood immediately. There was no time to wait. The young man was unconscious. He was breathing with difficulty, and he was badly injured. It was serious. Very serious. Ingrid looked around and spoke firmly. Clear a table. The men moved quickly. I need light, hot water, and clean cloths. She pointed. Tom, you come with me. Tom hesitated for a second. Ingrid, isn't it better to wait for the doctor? She looked directly at him. If we wait, he won't make it. Silence. I've done this before, she continued. We can save him. She took a deep breath. But it has to be now. The men exchanged glances and trusted her. The following hours were difficult, very difficult. Ingrid worked without stopping, carefully, with focus, with courage. She did everything she could to save the boy. The silence was heavy. No one knew what was going to happen, but everyone was rooting for her. The men were silent, watching Ingrid work. No one said anything. It was as if they were seeing something incredible happen right in front of them. Her hands moved with precision, carefully, as if they knew exactly what to do. It even seemed like a miracle. After a long time, she finally stopped. She was exhausted, but when she looked at the boy, she realized he was better. His breathing was calmer. The color was returning to his face. She took a deep breath and said, He will live. For a second, there was silence. And then everyone began to celebrate. Some clapped, others smiled with relief. On the other side, near the door, Jack watched everything. He had already returned with the doctor. But, seeing what Ingrid had done, he didn't need to say anything. The doctor examined the boy carefully, and then looked at her, impressed. Her work is excellent, he said, as good as any specialist's. Jack didn't hide his pride. Later that night, after the boy was taken near Ingrid's cabin, so she could take care of him closely, everything became calmer. Ingrid and Jack were sitting on the porch. The moon illuminated the place. The silence was peaceful. Then Jack spoke. What you did today. He shook his head, amazed. It was incredible. You saved that boy's life? Ingrid gave a small, humble smile. I just did what I learned. Jack looked intently at her. He said with conviction, It was you. He took a deep breath and spoke, no longer hiding it. That's why I love you. Ingrid's heart raced. She was silent for a moment, looking at him. That man who had helped her when she needed it most, who gave her a home, a job, a new chance. And now, he looked at her as if she were the most important thing in the world. Ingrid looked at him and, without complicating things, replied, I love you too. Jack approached slowly. It was a calm kiss, gentle, full of feeling, under the starry sky. When they parted ways, they were both speechless. Their hearts were beating faster. Then Jack spoke directly. "Will you marry me, Ingrid?" He took a deep breath. "I know it's fast. I know it might seem complicated." He looked at her sincerely, "But I can't imagine my life without you." Ingrid opened her mouth to answer, but he gently raised his hand. "You don't have to answer now," he gave a small smile. "Just promise me you'll think about it calmly." She nodded. "I promise." But, deep down, she already knew the answer. The next day, the news had already spread throughout the ranch, and fast. Very fast. But, to Ingrid's surprise, the reaction was better than she expected. The men were happy. Truly, they respected her and could see how good she was for Jack. Even Tom, who initially had doubts, completely approved. One morning, while Ingrid was caring for the recovering young man, Tom approached and said, "I've never seen the boss smile so much." He gave a slight smile. "You're good for him." And then added, "Actually, you're good for all of us." Ingrid was moved. The wedding was set. It would be at the beginning of June. And soon, it became the main topic of conversation in the region. Everyone wanted to participate. Everyone wanted to see. Without realizing it, Ingrid was about to experience something that, not long ago, seemed impossible. But when everything seemed perfect, an unexpected visit arrives to shake everything up. Secrets from the past resurface. And Jack and Ingrid's love will be put to the test. Who will this person be? What do they want? Is this love strong enough to withstand it? Get ready, because nothing will be the same again. Don't miss the next episode.